Welcome back to Metal of Honour. This is part 2 of a 3-part series. Hopefully you've seen part 1 where I just sort of cut and carved a very basic wax for the Delft Clay casting. So for this series, this is the main casting bit, being part 2 obviously. Part 3 is going to be like flush setting, actually setting the stones. But yeah, we're just going to jump straight in. The first half of the video is the actual casting bit. If that's all you need to see, you only need to watch half of this. But I will be talking all the way through, describing like the technique and maybe like things to avoid, things that are going to give you a better sort of outcome, which is what we all want. We all want an easy life, want things to work first time, stress-free, hassle-free, just get the job done, get a good result. But yeah, we'll jump straight in, and welcome back. So you would have seen this bit last time. The thing that most people don't do with a wax, whether they're doing a home sand casting or if they're sending it off to a casters to have a mould and sort of mass produced. But yeah, this was a bit of lighter fluid on a micro fibre thingy, cloth, forgot the word. Yeah, just going over it just to get a nice, smoother, clean finish. But yeah, watch part 1 if you need to see that. So you need a good set of drill bits. This is for when all the sand is all packed into the 2 halves of the aluminium sort of die, if you want, like mould. A good little pocket knife, doesn't need to be huge, something that's got a thinner blade will save you sort of wasting a lot more sand towards the end bit of it. A little scoop. It's always good to have like a steel plate to rest it on for while you're packing that sand in and everything. And you notice the 2 bits of aluminium, top and bottom, has like a little cut down it. They always just come with a little cut down. That's just for lining it up for once you've taken it apart and put it back together. So there's quite a bit to take in here. And like I said before, that this is the most basic sort of thing that you could cast. At some stage I will show you how to do something that's got a lot more detail, that's a lot riskier for getting a good result. But just doing the basics, what I'm going to go through with this, will let the more intricate pieces just happen a lot easier. So this is your Delft Clay. You can buy cheap sort of fake like alternatives off places like eBay, or any of your sort of suppliers might do the cheap version, but I don't know if you save that much money. But it's a sand that never dries out as long as you pack it back into the plastic, like you can see up in the top right corner, the plastic bag it comes in, or if you break that, another one, put it in. As long as it's kind of airtight-ish, it'll always stay slightly damp, and it's not got a very nice feel to it. But you can, you see I've just got a carving knife that I'm chopping it up, just a bit of Al Pacino Scarface, chopping along the whole thing. You could just, sometimes if the closest thing I've got to hand is a steel ruler, I'll just use that. And you just want to get it nice and fine. You can have a few little lumps because it's not going to affect it too much, but you don't want to be chucking bits that will come out like the last time you've cast, where you've just cut away the burnt bits, pushed it out and chucked it back in the bag for next time. You do want it reasonably thin, or fine, sorry, not thin. But yeah, you can see here I'm just making myself a little space. Normally whatever I do, I try and keep the surrounding area quite clean, just for whether it might be a little bit of OCD, or I just don't really like cleaning up and tidying up. So I'll generally try and just keep things neat as possible as I go, whether it's doing jewellery things or whether I'm sort of cutting up sort of veg and stuff for a dinner and things like that. I generally like to try and keep things clean as I go. So this way, you can see I've sort of put in about enough to do like a third of it, or half of the height of this little sort of die, or sort of mould casing. I really can't think what you call it, mine's completely blank. But yeah, then you pack it to the top. obviously it's all loose, so you're going with a hammer. You can see this as well, it's not really a jewellery hammer, it's just a very old hammer. I can't even remember where I got this one from or how long I've had it, but you can see it's probably older than me, this hammer. It's probably like an eBay or boot fair or something, I really can't remember. So now, when you get to this top stage, this is the part that you're going to be pushing your little model or a piece of jewellery that you've already made before in actual metal that you can push in. It could be something outside that you found on the ground. Like it could be like a hex bolt or something that you want to do a casting of. But this last layer, you notice I chopped that final bit up a little bit more, so that when we pack that in, I know it's going to be nice and fine. It's going to be like quite even for when I'm pushing in my little mould. So again, also because these things are made of aluminium or aluminum, depends where you're watching from, but because they're made of aluminium, when you're hitting down with a hammer, you don't want to hit that, like the ridge, because you will dent that with the steel. And then very carefully, you see I drag right away across. I just want a nice, clean, sort of very flat surface. Then sort of move things to one side a little bit. Now, because it is kind of damp and it sticks, by the time you do the top bit, you don't want them to stick together when you want to pull them apart to get your master pattern out. So that's why we use like a talcum powder. This is generally the best one, just because it smells nice, and it will probably remind you of like when your kids were little and stuff. But yeah, just like the normal sort of Johnson's baby talc is absolutely fine, but you could use any. And this is to almost create a film, because all these surfaces that are touching each other and for your actual model, by the time you've poured the casting in, they're all burnt away and they'll have to be cut away and discarded completely. It cannot go back in the bag and contaminate. So depending on what the shape of your piece, it will determine whether you put it right in the centre, or you might want to put it off a little bit if you want to do your channel sort of going in sideways more, which we'll go into more when I do a more intricate piece. But for this, slap bang in the middle is absolutely fine. You notice that even for this wax, put like a big something blunt on the end. It could have even been a bit of wood, this, but you're just going to hit that so it goes in further. You still want a little bit coming out the top. You don't want to push it all the way. So this is basically, this part here is always going to be the bottom of your mould. So that little channel that you cut out at the top for pouring into is always going to be in the thicker top half, okay? And again, a little bit more talc on this bit. This will just help release that once you've packed in all the top stuff as well. So there's not too much to remember at this stage. I say a lot of this casting bit is the first half of this video. The rest of it is like the cleaning up. But when you place this top part on, you want to line up those two little notches. That's so important, or it's game over. You'll never know exactly where to put it on, and you really do need to know that. So again, once that top bit's on, once the top bit's on, you just got to put it to one side, and you're going to chop again. Just keep chopping, and this time, because this clay, or this sand, sorry, it's going to be the bottom part touching the mould, you're going to do that little bit finer, like you done for the very top section of the first part a couple of minutes ago. So yeah, just going to keep chopping. Yeah, so a lot of this bit, but up till now and this next little bit, as long as you do all these bits like this, you can't really go wrong for how the sand sort of, even if it's like a detailed piece, got some sort of texture or detail in it. As long as you do it how I've done it up to this stage, you know that that's going to have a nice casing around your model, whether it be the wax or a piece of jewellery you made before that you want to cast, that's not got loads of claws and things like that on them. So this is going to be the top half. So you got to bear in mind, you don't want to dislodge your little model at the bottom. So you can see I'm really pushing this down with my fingers first, because I don't want it to sort of break up or dislodge that item. So as soon as you do that, it's game over. It's never going to come out in the cast. You can see with the hammer, it's not like I'm hitting down there, I'm kind of pushing towards the outside wall. So I know that it's filling in those other it's got like little recess that helps hold it all in place as well. So when you get onto this bit, again, you don't need to go as crazy on the chopping. It could be a little bit more coarse. So again, here you see I'll put one more sort of layer on. Doesn't really matter how it comes out, but it's just a case of getting it on so I can pack that down and scrape off that top section once again. But so much of this is to do with the prep. But like I say, as long as you're sort of doing all this bit up to this stage and in the second, you're all good. Where most people will go wrong for not having a good casting is to do with doing that hole for creating the channel where you're going to be pouring that the liquid metal through. That's where so many people go wrong. I've seen so many failed attempts, even when I've taught people in the past how to use it. It's like go in one ear, out the other, and it's like, oh, I forgot to do that bit. Especially when you've done it a couple of times, like most people have that I've done it with before, and I've had like other staff sort of working for me. But it's silly errors and not going whole hog. So with this bit, you're pulling it apart very gently, very, very gently, and then you can see, this almost looks like a balloon, but yeah, with your pocket knife you can just kind of dislodge it, flick it up a little bit. So if you was doing something with like sort of squarer edges, something like that, you've got to be a little bit more careful with. So a lot of it comes down to when you're designing your actual piece to go in here, you want to think ahead of how it's going to react when you're pouring and stuff. But yeah, it's just better to do it like this. So for this, you can see this is like the wider bit, which is the top bit you packed in last. So with the drill bits, you can see I am actually twisting it in slowly. I will go up a size in this, but this is where I want my channel for the metal to go into. So once you've got all the drill bit down to the solid bit of the shaft on here, then you can just push it straight through. On the back, the sand will break up a little bit, which is fine, but it's good to do a little pilot hole first, then you can go in with this big one. I think this was about, I should have had a look at it. I think it's about like a 7mm drill bit, so that's quite a big channel I want to create. Whereas I've seen other people, like the drill bit that I used before, I've seen people just use that as their channel. Then when it comes to the top, which you'll see me do in a minute, it's really small. So for here, just very carefully with like the pen knife or like little pocket knife, just break away those little loose edges. Then with your finger, you can press down on these little edges. It means that there's more metal, more sort of cavity for the actual channel to flow into. So that bit will end up being an extra bit of silver on your sort of end piece or your end casting. But then with the smaller drill bit, you can sort of soften up these edges. If you just had that single channel going down, as soon as you pour your metal, it's like the metal's flowing down, and it's like, oh, well, where do I go? There's a corner. And anything like that, it all gives a chance for the metal to cool down a little bit too quickly, and it won't get to the other side of your mould. So from this bit, you can see how wide I'm doing a channel, and every so often I'll be looking down through that little recess or through the hole, just seeing how thick that is away from my master pattern. Now when I pour the metal, I want that metal to pretty much hit that curve when it's sort of rushing in, actually on the curve, so the liquid just flows. There's no way it wants to sort of stop and go down like a tiny little channel that, you know, you've got this channel that's like this, and you're pouring it down, and it's already in the mould while it's still absolutely like roaring hot, you know. But yeah, you watch a few more of these videos, or try searching YouTube. I'm sure many other people have actually done a video probably with a tiny little channel hole, and you'll see it'll come out right, but you know they've cut the video and they've shown an outcome, and the sprue will be a different size to what they've actually cut the hole. And it's but this is like genuine best way, and for the best result. That little hole as well with this really small drill bit, that's just to create an air hole, because if you don't have that, if you just pour it down, it's not going to the air's just going to block it, and you're going to fill up about half of that mould, and then the rest is just going to be an empty cavity towards the end. So doing this little air hole, so that when you've actually poured it, it's just like, it will be one more like little sprue to cut off, and then for like when you're filing up and cleaning up your actual casting. But that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's like a quick snip and a file and a job done. But you do want this like really nice and smooth. You see, when I do some more of these like in the future for like the Delft Clay, which I will do with the like intricate pieces, I'll never do a simple one again. It will always be something a little bit more technical. That's when you would actually create a few little channels going around, but all depending on the shape of your item. But for anything simple, one shape stuff, just the one air hole for like releasing is absolutely fine. You do not need more than this, and it doesn't matter even if you have like almost too much metal pouring in, it's never going to go all the way up that little air gap channel. By the time that's hit that channel, you're always going to be good. So that was a really important bit as well, lining up that little notch. If that little notch is just sort of slightly off, your casting will have almost look like two parts that are sliding. So when it comes to setting up, you can't quite see it here, but this is actually in a little tray, so it's got a ridge. It's actually never happened to me before, but when you pour it, if anything ever did happen, it can't land on your lap or in your apron or something, or whatever safety stuff you might have on. So this, just out of just something else to add on, I don't keep lighters on the bench. I just use this little Siva igniter as like a battery in the back. When you press down, does them little sparks. It's just a safe thing to have on your bench, instead of like lighters that got fluid in that you might accidentally hit with the blowtorch and explode, which it did happen to someone with me a few years ago, and hit a torch and just a metre wide sort of diameter fireball. So yeah, so from then, just no more lighters on the bench, and I've got this little thing. So in the crucible, I know things I've seen on like Facebook groups and stuff, people having trouble prepping a crucible. But even if this was a brand new one, you see this has got a nice glaze on it with the borax that I've poured on. But people over rely sometimes on borax. But if this is the first time, you could pour borax on just the metal chunks that I've put in here, and when it's melting, as soon as I start swirling it, that's going to line the crucible anyway. It doesn't matter if you've got one of these round ones, or whether it's like the 2-inch square, anything like that. That will prep it for the first time. And this metal that I've already, you can see me doing, it's clean metal. It has never had any solder joins. It's all been offcuts or various chunks of silver that's clean. 925, but it's all been clean metal. So you'll notice I've not even put borax on at this stage. I just know it's going to run nice. It's just going to work. And like I said, the actual crucible's already glazed so it's just going to flow out of there very smoothly, and that's what you want. Also, you notice I've put that drill bit underneath the actual whole unit, so that when I pour it in, just that little tilt, that's going to help, like gravity's going to help pull that through as well, which is always a winner. So you can see when I get this ready, it's just, as soon as it's running nicely, straight in. You know, it's quite nerve-wracking the first time you do that, but as like I say, as long as you're holding that in that right place, pouring it into that groove, the tray you're sitting in, like the steel tray that I welded up that it sits in, it's got a lip, so if it did accidentally pour, it's not going to splash everywhere and bounce, and it's going to be nice. So just and this, if you don't put this in a jug of water, it's going to stink the place out. It's going to make your workshop absolutely stink, and you're going to need to open up all the doors for like an hour or so just to even get the smell out. It doesn't smell as bad as like cuttlefish that some people use, but this still does smell. But just by putting it in water, it really helps take that smell down. And the only reason normally I'll just put this in there and leave it for a little while, but because I'm doing a video, I wanted to do it like all in one day. That's why I've just opened it up, just to show you how it's come out. So by doing this, you can see how like the side bits have burnt, everything, all the bits of sand that's been touched, it's all come out nicely. And if I hadn't have put the talcum powder on it before, when you pull that bit apart after you've cast it, you'll end up with chunks falling off, one bit staying in the top part, a bit staying in the bottom. It's that's why it's important for that bit. Because I've got quite a big sprue there, I could have actually poured a little less metal. If I'd have done less metal, I could have just pulled this bit of silver out straight away and then cut away all the nasty bit. But as well, when you're actually taking it out the mould, or if it's already out the mould and you're just discarding all the burnt bits of sand, don't do it anywhere near all the clean stuff and all the good stuff. Just obvious reasons, like contamination. So in this I will show you as well how to clean out that little mould. It's just very careful, just letting that fall down into the gap. Any slight little sort of it could be a little bit, if it's just a little bit, it's not going to do too much. But you can see I'm really trying to cut away all the little burnt sort of recesses in like that air hole in the main channel. Also, because you've got a really thin pocket knife, what I mean by that is like the blade's really thin, you can lay it down almost flat like this bit now, and really cutting away that top surface, which is no good to you either, because that's had the talcum powder on it, so that's no good to use again. I'm not sure how long the clay lasts, because I think whenever I've used it, so I do use it now and again. I think I buy like the 1 or 2 kilo packs, but where I do a few things that are going to be sort of done like this in the mould, because if I was doing this out of solid metal, whether it be silver, gold or platinum, there's just too much wastage. So I do get through it. So I've never had any of the Delft Clay sort of dry out on me before. I don't think it's water. I think it's more like an oil that keeps it moist. I'm not 100% sure. So you can see on this bit as well, I'm having to do this. You're trying to avoid letting all the black stuff go onto the nice stuff, kind of like loosen it up and sort of get rid of it like really quickly. You'll have to excuse my dodgy fingernail as well on my left hand, where I hit it with a hammer. That's taken over a year for it to even start healing. It just wants to lift, and yeah, it's horrible. But yeah, it just comes with the job. But yeah, so when you're doing this Delft Clay as well, if you happen to have, don't matter if you've got long nails or short nails, you're going to get covered in this like oily sort of sand. It's not nice. It hasn't got a nice feel to it. So you can see I've done like the top part and the bottom part, then that's all ready to break free. Then you see I won't drop it down there. Would actually go and put that in with the good stuff, and that's all ready to use again. So you can see how much wastage you use on each casting. So it's probably like a good 60 odd grams there or something. So like 2 ounces. Yeah. So that's pretty much how we've sort of done the main casting, and we're halfway through the video. The rest of the video is pretty much me cleaning up this actual casting, just getting it ready for part 3 of the video, where I'm going to be doing like the flush setting and the gypsy setting. But yeah, so that, yeah, where that little other channel for the air to come through, where that filled up, you can see that was just a cut with the pliers. I didn't even need to get the saw onto that bit. And then for the big, generally when you've got such a big sprue like this, you want to use a reasonably thick saw blade. Anything between like a 2 and 4 would be ideal, or you're just going to be there for ages, and the saw, and it'll be going blunt and stuff. At some stage I will do a video on very basic cutting, whether it's things like this or actual cutting out sort of like nameplate type things. I've actually got a tortoise pendant coming up soon. I might actually do that with as a video, so you can see. Yeah, because I saw in this, and again for like beginners, I know a lot of beginners do have like real trouble just even cutting a piece of metal, because they're just not doing something right. And but on that same video, I'll probably do it with sort of drilling as well, because it's not something I've really mentioned in like a major way before. But a lot of people, when they've got their pendant motor and like the twist drill, even something basic like this, they'll put their foot pedal on to turn it on, and as they're sort of speeding up, they'll be sort of drilling in, still with like whether it's beeswax or a little bit of oil. They'll be accelerating and drilling in, whereas I don't do that. I rev the drill, and then as it's slowing down, I'll push down. That keeps your saw blade, your twist drill sort of sharper, and it's just a cleaner way of doing things, and it's just much easier. There's less chance of the thing going blunt, snapping. Yes, I might do a whole like very basics sort of video for super beginners, or even people that don't quite know that technique, because that's probably the biggest one actually that I see a lot of people do not do with the drilling. But yeah, revving it, and on the slowdown, that's when you're pushing in. Yes, so back to this bit. It's just general cleaning up, just the going through the files, the sandpapers, and just literally doing almost like the same as what you did to that master pattern. So another good thing about, especially when it comes to like, well actually, whether it's simple bits like this or more intricate bits you're casting, even if it's something that you've sent off to the actual caster, generally whoever's actually carved and made the wax or metal master pattern, for where you've got that muscle memory for the order, because it's quite important, like the order that you filed everything in. You see, like some bits I've gone straight to the sandpaper instead of taking it out and doing all the filing in one go. Whoever's done that master pattern, they actually have that muscle memory of the order that they've filed it up, done the sanding, all them bits in. So generally whoever's done that, really, they like, especially like in a bigger business, give that to the people that have done the original, because they will get that filed up and sanded so much quicker. If you're saying where you've got like a bigger business and you're doing 50 of these, by all means give it to someone else to do that's more of a beginner, that's more just to do the casting cleanup and stuff, because after they've done 2 or 3, they'll have their own rhythm and be able to get through that sort of amount of a workload. But really, if you're watching this video, or if you're watching any of my channel, you're probably more like artisan, sort of small business, small sort of based hobbyist, sort of actually sort of creating these pieces to sell on, or just for presents for family and stuff. So you're probably less likely to have a big business that's watching it. I know there's a few jewellers that do watch and comment on the channel and that now and again. And I'd say out of all of this, cleaning up a casting is probably the most boring job any jeweller can actually do. It's just, yeah, it's just boring. You just want that end result instead of like cleaning up all these castings. It's just so dull, and it's the one bit that I don't really enjoy at all, doing this sort of thing. It's probably why I'd normally more often, or 99% of the time, or over 99%, it's handmade that I'll do, just because there isn't any sort of castings to clean up, especially where it's sort of just like me and the missus and that sort of in the business, and neither of us all want to be cleaning up castings. But you can see, like I say again, you're pretty much keeping the order of like how you've done your actual wax master pattern. But yeah, so at the end of this video, you're going to see like a little glimpse of the final. You see me sort of prep this and do like pre-polishing. You'll see my normal little sort of disc felts, the ones that I trim myself, because you can't buy them like that. But there is a video on how to trim them felts. I might even put the link to that in the description, so that when you get to that, you'll see it, and you'll think, actually, yeah, I want to know how to make them. Just go and watch the video. They're so good. And there's other people that have commented where I've sort of put whereabouts you buy them felts, because they're not ones that anyone stocks in England. I normally get them from a German supplier. I can't even remember the name. Fisher Tools in Germany. That's where I normally get them felts. But yeah, I'm trying to remember to put a link in the description for how to do those. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Yeah, it goes on for like, there's another sort of 10 minutes or something. No, there's another sort of 20 minutes, but this is just me filing it, so I'm not going to talk all the way through all of it, because it's things that you've seen me do so many times before, and it's just the normal going through different grades of files, the sandpapers, the roughest ones like 400 grit, gradually going down to like 800, because that's fine for the silver, and at the end you'll see me just marking up roughly where I'm going to be putting some stones in part 3. So yeah, if you've enjoyed watching this, please do like and subscribe. If you don't want to watch me just cleaning up a casting for the next 18 minutes or something, feel free to go and watch some of the other videos. But yeah, and again, thanks for all the likes, comments, donations along the way. It's been great. I can't believe how many sort of subscribers I've already got. I've got friends that do sort of like computer game sort of YouTube channels, or like various bits. There are some people that have got 300 subscribers and they've been at it for 3 or 4 years, maybe, like even trying to get them. So to have hit the 4,000 mark after 13 or 14 months or whatever it is, I can't remember now. Maybe 15, I'm not sure. But yeah, but after just such a short amount of time. But yeah, really about like a year since it like properly, after put, because I always say like when you start, put a few basic videos on because no one's ever going to watch your early videos. So yeah, so it probably is about a year that it's all really sort of happened in. But yeah, appreciate that. But yeah, if you want to see, because I kind of rigged up a new sort of setup so I can try and record some of the stone setting a little bit more, because some stone setting you might see on the videos, people who have microscopes that have got the camera built in. Mine's got a camera built in, but it's not very good. But you see some people really getting quite detailed videos, but they don't explain everything. But hopefully with what I've set up, the next video will have some good explanations in, and you'll be able to see what I'm doing reasonably clear. And I'm hoping, as like with most of my videos, it will be quite useful for people to see. But to see that, please do like and subscribe anyway. I'm sure quite a few of you have already subscribed watching this, but maybe hit the little bell so you get the notification for the third part of this, and you'll see like the final outcome. But yeah, but for the last 16 odd minutes or whatever, I'm just gonna leave you to watch it on your own. But yeah, thanks for all the likes, subscribes, comments, all that stuff. Any questions, please do comment. And and I'll see you on the setting video for the flush gypsy style setting. But yeah, thanks for watching and take care. Thank you.
Sadda c'est moi. kaya sing kaya. Sadda sema.